FR1 is not your everyday first-person adventure game. In FR1, you play as a sort of futuristic therapist. You go directly into the mind of your patient, rather Inception style, in order to fix broken memories. You see, in FR1, your patient has dementia. In order to fix these memories, you have to traverse the patient's mind and solve puzzles.
Right. A few things before we project.
To start with, FR1 is one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. From a visual standpoint, the game's environments look a lot like those of BioShock Infinite, albeit a lot more stylized. FR1 didn't aim for a totally photorealistic style. Instead, the textures on the environments and objects kind of look like oil paints. As a result, FR1 has a visual style that's both unique and memorable. FR1 also does a superb job at delivering a story. Much of the game's story is told through the environments. There are houses to visit, a post office to explore, docks to check out. You see, in FR1, you're traversing a town the way that the patient remembers it. There are no people in the places in this game. Rather, there is the evidence of their having lived. If you enjoy picking up story fragments in games, then FR1 is definitely for you. For example, in the coal mines, you can discover notes that were left between miners. The notes usually contain little things like the miners complaining about their boss, or mentioning what piece of equipment is needed, things along those lines. Then, too, there are also the objects in the environments in the game that give you a bit more information as to the backstory of the various characters. It's in the myriad of little details that FR1 manages to tell a story that's both memorable and compelling. Besides the characters you'll discover through the memories, there's also Dr. Phyllis Edmonds, who's working with you on the outside.
I'm going to be guiding you through the process of restoration this evening, and hopefully ensuring that nothing terrible happens to you or our client. I'm in Restoration Chamber number 3.
The Restorer.
Now, if you don't mind,
The next step
would you be a
into
dear
an
and head on
evolution,
down?
An asset to society and a wonder.
Dr. Edmonds is an unseen narrator who keeps an eye on the patient for you. As the game goes on, it becomes clear through her dialogue that something is going on the outside. Something very wrong that threatens the very existence of the Restorer program, and there's a chance that things aren't quite right. There's an interesting juxtaposition of the narrator's anxiety with the seemingly placid worlds of the game. Like the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, Dr. Edmonds seems perpetually excited and hurried, and you can never really be sure if that's a good sign or a bad one. Overall, FR1 has a very strong story. It features strong writing, beautifully married to excellent gameplay, which I'll get to in a second. It's just that the story is very poignant. There's something nostalgic and longing about it, and I'm taking great care not to spoil things, because it's really just something that you have to experience for yourself. Regarding the gameplay, remember how a moment ago I mentioned that there are plenty of items in the environment to pick up, and that these items all have some significance to the story? Well, in FR1, you have to figure out which of these items are necessary in order to solve puzzles. For instance, there are a number of padlocks throughout the game. In order to open them up, you have to get the necessary combinations of numbers. Now, these number combinations have been written in different places. While it is sometimes obvious what a combination of numbers is for, other times you'll find writing on the wall and have no idea what it means. At least, you won't know initially, however, it might begin to make more sense as the game unfolds. If I have one little gripe with FR1, it's definitely that it's easy to get lost in all the detail. It isn't always obvious which things are crucial to the game's central story and puzzle solving, and which other things are extraneous details. As a result, I found myself getting lost at least a few times, and not really being sure of what I should do next. That said, I do appreciate that FR1 didn't hold my hand. There was a real sense of satisfaction about solving a difficult puzzle. Additionally, the game is chock full of secrets. There's Morse code in strange places that you might notice if you listen extra carefully to it. There's the aforementioned writing in funny places. There's just a whole lot to discover in a game that has a fantastically fleshed out world. As I mentioned earlier, the game fantastically melds story and gameplay. While the gameplay does occasionally get bogged down with the little details, it overall does a wonderful job of tying into the story. In other words, the better you know the story of the game, the more of the game will be revealed to you. In FR1, you don't have to solve every single puzzle to get to the game's end, but by solving extra puzzles, you're rewarded with a more fully realized world.
Our client, Jean, is currently in a very delicate state. Our primary focus is to ensure that we clear this area of her mind from the plaque buildup that is causing the disease.
I could go on forever about the wonderful world of FR1. Even though every place has a somewhat fantastical, otherworldly feel to it, there's still something very grounded about the environments. Every location in the game feels as though it might have been inhabited mere minutes ago. I can't forget the little picnic basket and blanket near the beginning of the game. Was there a little couple here having a date a moment ago? It's this sense that people were there give the locations in FR1 real weight. Overall, FR1 is not to be missed. If you enjoyed the atmosphere of such games as Half-Life, if you like the story in To the Moon, and if you like the mystique of, well, Myst, you need to play FR1. While I've not played the game with an Oculus Rift, I've heard that the game is compatible with it, and that if you have one, it's definitely worth checking out. Additionally, at the time of this review's creation, FR1 was announced for the PlayStation 4. It's set to come out in 2015, and while there's no word yet on Morpheus support, if it does support the Morpheus, that'll be all the more reason to grab the game if you own a PS4. FR1 is currently available on Steam, through the Humble Store, and on GOG for PC.
Continue to work your way down, further into the mine. It seems the center of this memory is very much at the heart of these industrial ratways. I'll contact you if I gain any more information.